We might be target, my friend, of the enemy, but we know what we have. Listen what Paul wrote unto the Ephesians here. He said, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and the power of His might. Oh, he said that. He said, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and the power of His might. There's times that you just can't change things. There's times when you take and you try to do everything that you can do, but it's still not working out. My friend, listen here. But he said, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. And then he begins to tell us, put on the whole armor of God, that you might be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Because he said, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And then he goes on to say, take to you the whole armor of God, that you might be able to withstand in the evil day, and having all to do to stand. Amen. I tell you what, when times of trouble come and you can't do a thing about them, mother, father, you might not be able to do a thing about that child, but I know one that can. Amen. I know the God of heaven that is able tonight. But he said, after you've done all that you can, stand, having your loins girded about with truth, have on the breastplate of righteousness, have your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, and above all, take the shield of faith. Amen. Take that shield, amen, of faith, and begin to turn it against that problem, turn it against that situation, and stand. Amen. That's all he said, stand. You know, Abraham knew what it was, because God had told him that he would be the father of many nations. He said, I am thy shield. I am thy shield. That means I am for you. And he said, if I'm for you, who can be against you? And he said, having on the breastplate, being shod with the preparation of the gospel, above all, taking the shield of faith, where you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the enemy or the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Praying always with all prayers and supplication in the Spirit, and watch unto with all prayers and all supplication for all saints. Amen. Amen. Sometimes you just got to take your eyes off of your situation and look around you. Amen. And begin to pray for somebody else. Amen. I tell you what, sometimes I get caught up, amen, in my little world, that I forget everybody else's. But honey, it don't take long for God to come along and say, don't you remember that you're supposed to be a praying for your brothers and your sisters? Don't you supposed to be a praying and preserving in prayer and not giving up because they're leaning on you. They've asked you, so you must be willing, amen, to preserve in prayer for them. Amen. Above all, he said. But here we are. Verse 4 and 5. I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hills. Oh, the Lord is our sustainer. David cried in prayer for help, and bless God, he got it because God, amen, took a few of those men and they put those men of Israel to flight. And amen, Absalom began to run from the presence of David's general, and he caught his hair, got caught up, the Bible said, in the oak grove, in the oak trees, because he had long hair, and it hung him up there. And amen, they went through, put 3 darts in him, and then they came through and they stopped him, and they killed him, and they buried him. Amen. And David's problem was over as far as Absalom was concerned. Absalom would not change, but bless God, David, he mourned for his son. He prayed for his son. Amen. But he said here, the Lord, he said, I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hills. I laid me down and slept. I awake from the Lord. He sustained me. The Lord will take care of you. Amen. If you follow him, if you're doing his will, if you're walking in his steps, he'll take care of you. He'll watch over you. He'll sustain you. He'll bring you up out of whatever you're in. He'll bring you up and he'll set you on the solid rock. Amen. And you'll be sustained up there. The storms may come. Amen. But listen,